first lessons, if you're going to stay in the game, you got to learn how to love a loss.
Quit my job 3 times, because I had to, because I was failed each time.
It was up to me to adjust my own trading. So there's takeaways from the self-doubt to, it became on me.
What would you say is like the key pillars that your dad taught you that helped you become who you are today as like this type of trader who's been able to survive for 30 years, which is very hard to come by?
And I don't care about a company. It's not this. I go back to fundamentals. It's just a moving dot to me.
Can you explain why it's so important, like being able to take these losses and how you must like them? Like
when it comes to earnings, I like to see what happens, whether the earnings are great or bad. I mean, honestly, I really don't care because I don't own that position. I just like to see the reaction to it.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Today, my guest has been trading for over 30 years, full-time, and he goes both long and short. Welcome to the show, Russ.
What's up, Alex?
Oh, I call you Russ, but Russell Valiente. So
either one.
There you go.
Man.
Well, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, man. I'm so glad I met you. Met you through a buddy named Tyson. He's a friend of both of ours. He's been on the show before.
Team Money,
as some know him as. But I'd love to get started from the beginning for you.
Sure.
What got you into this game?
My dad was a financial advisor, stockbroker for years. I mean, that was his thing. And when I was a kid, once a week, these paper charts would get mailed to his house in the mail. And I was always fascinated. He was looking through charts because he is a technical analysis guy. He's 90 and he's still a TA guy.
So he's still trading?
He still swing trades occasionally. But I used to be fascinated with those paper charts when I was a kid. So there's always a fascination about charts and stocks. So I think I was 24 years old, 93, 94. I really wanted to come into his practice and start my own. So, I talked to him about it and he goes, wow, I think you could do it. So I was like, man, he doesn't have enough faith in me. But in the end he did, but it was just his way. So for whatever reason, we started going over charts and it just spoke to me. And I've had a learning disability since I was born. And so I'm a visual learner. So if someone has to show me something, maybe once, maybe twice, I'm like, and I get it. I get it. So charts have always had this, it just spoke to me like a piece of art. It still does. You show me a chart, I'll smile. So
you start seeing charts, when you see him doing it himself on paper, did you notice anything back then that you notice now is still the same?
A lot of things have changed now, but a chart's still a chart. And I don't care what it is, if it's cryptocurrency, you have these parabolic moves, you have different types of moves. I think the speed is much faster than it was. Everything happens faster than news, the speed. That's different, but trends will always remain the same. And, knowing what to do in a trend. And so that's what really started me. And my dad explaining things about charts and technical analysis, and he'd do measured moves, and I was fascinated by it. And just there were certain aspects that he taught me. And then there was a lot I picked up on my own. After 3 or 4 years, you're pounding your chest a little bit, and you're like, okay. And so, but it's different these days. It's definitely different.
So when you started learning from your dad, you said at first he really didn't sound like he had a lot of confidence in you. So what was it like when you actually start to learn?
Oh, wow. I was driven because if someone doesn't believe in me and doesn't think I'm going to work hard enough. So it was a work ethic that he always instilled in me. So I was just driven I'm going to be better than okay. Because, I wasn't, as far as education, I didn't, I graduated from high school. I didn't even know that day if I was going to graduate. I was hoping they'd just call my name. And so I went to junior college for a couple of years. It just wasn't my thing. And it wasn't, but I was always motivated by, working and having money. And so when I started learning about charts and just how things move, it was different. There is a big difference, um, but it was just fun. I could see where someone could create a lot of wealth. So um, you know, some of these moves now, day trading, they move like that. Take something a whole year.
Yeah.
So, there is difference, but that's how the charts is what I love. It's still, it's, I wouldn't know what to do if I lost my eyesight. I'd probably figure something out.
Yeah, sure those eyes.
Right.
Yeah, you definitely do. I'm curious, what was the first thing you learned about technical analysis?
Look lower left and upper right on the big picture. And this is an uptrend. There's different types, but a yearly uptrend, 10 years, 20 years, monthly. There's all different kinds of patterns. And so it just spoke to me. I mean, there was something about it and a trend in watching just how things flowed.
Yeah.
And connecting the dots. That was the biggest thing. And I visually saw it, and it just spoke to me. And I started when Starbucks came public. I can remember Snapple came public, not around anymore, the private, but those moves, Callaway golf clubs, and just learning, IPOs. But the charts were, what I realized after 2 or 3 years, it was always the same, constant, a bigger picture, uptrend, downtrend. So then support resistance. You learn the basic stuff, and which still holds true today.
Isn't that crazy?
It does.
What do you think about when you hear of, you have the fundamental traders and you have the technical traders and you have the mix of both, but then you have traders who just feel like they'll just bash on technicals all the time. They'll constantly bash on technicals. I myself am a technical trader, so I'm curious, like, how you feel about fundamentals yourself?
I will glance at a balance sheet.
Yep.
Because I'm not a small cap, shorter. I get, all these different services they provide. You want to know what they have, cash on hand, how much debt, whatever it may be. It's a different type of reason for them to really dig deep.
Yeah.
But I know when earnings are coming out. That's if there's something big that happens, but there's always just a reaction in a chart. So I'm aware of that. When it comes to earnings, I like to see what happens, whether the earnings are great or bad. I mean, honestly, I really don't care because I don't own that position. I just like to see the reaction to it. And so, things, I keep it pretty simple. And when we were speaking earlier, I told my son, he's 24, and he's starting his trading journey, last couple of years, and so he's doing that. But I gave him some simple advice about fundamentals, and I'm not bashing any fundamental,
Sure,
because there's some great ones.
Yep.
I mean, so I know basic fundamentals, but just watch how a stock reacts off. So what I always tell my son is, bad earnings and the stock's going up, stock's probably going higher. So don't worry about wrap your mind around fundamentals. But the fundamental people are going, they'll look at it a different way.
Yep.
And so something could go down in a downtrend, and they'll still make a cause like they don't, Wall Street doesn't understand this, or they don't understand this. So that's why they're selling it. The chart is self-explanatory. It really is. And so that's what I think. I'm a technical analysis. I still learn things from a ton of other people and their aspect and reading different things. You're always working on it. You're always working on it. And I always tell my wife, she's the love of my life. My wife says, no, the true love of your life is trading. And, it's something, it's in your blood. You never quit. And I'm trying to slow down and trying to have a life.
Yeah.
I'm old school. I'm there all day, and I sit in front of the screens. That's what I do.
Are you actually trading all day, or you just
No,
no?
I'm more like a sniper.
Okay.
I wait and pick off opportunities when it comes to primary. Would love to swing trade, longer term. Just for me, it's not the that type of market to go long for me.
Mhm.
But I'm dabbling with some stuff longer term ETFs. So, anyways, that's a whole nother story.
Hey, we wouldn't be able to do these face-to-face interviews if it wasn't for our sponsor, Cobra Trading. So if you could just give them a few seconds of your time, we'd really appreciate it. Cobra Trading is the go-to broker for day traders and short sellers. And I'm not the only one saying this. In fact, Benzinga awarded Cobra Trading as the go-to broker for short selling. They have a heavy focus on direct market access order routing, so you have the fastest execution. They have some of the best locate prices and availability. They also have amazing customer service. I've experienced many different brokers, and it's why I use them every single day and why I'm proud to have them as our sponsor. Sign up now by clicking the Be the Trader referral link below and earn 1 free month of software with Cobra and 25% off all commissions. Now let's get back to the show. Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up, but I also wanted to find out, how long did it take you to get momentum and find some type of consistency? Or were you good right away? How long did that take?
That's a good question. It's a good and it's a great question. So, because we had the COVID starter outers, they're freshly young,
yeah.
making millions. I saw it, and I saw them lose millions, and then they had owed the IRS money.
Yeah.
So, all this trouble, but anyways, I mean, when I started in mid '90s, and .com, that boom was equivalent to the COVID movement, and I was anything that said .com, I was smart. I mean, never looked at a prospectus, a balance sheet, didn't know, didn't care, and really, truly, it worked, and it worked for a long time, and it was a true massive bubble. We saw it was like GameStop, AMC, Tilray back in the marijuana days. What's on BYND? I can't remember.
Me, yep.
So you have those crazy insanity moves, and it's just different. I mean, you have those, but people can say fundamentally they have nothing. I didn't care. So, anyways, back to when when it ended.
Yep.
My dad always said, "Save your money, because I was making I was a financial advisor, but I was trading my own account, and I was making a lot of money.
Yep.
And it was crazy because I was my own ATM machine. So the lesson I got was, hey, this is going to end way long before it's supposed to end, and you better save your money. And I did, but I didn't save as much as I should at that time. Anyways, the point being is, I went and when it ended, and my dad told me this is going to end, and it's going to end ugly. And you're looking at 200 or 300 different .coms. All I had to say is .com, and you just go long. You just go long. I didn't know about really shorting, because it would have been the other way, coming down
For sure.
at that time. But then
So you started at .com? That's what you're saying?
yeah, right before that.
Really, you just started.
So I started out successful, making a lot of money, and thinking I was hot, just the thing. And I at the end, because I'm not a smart person, but I have my dad's my mentor. Other people are my mentors, younger than me. It's a big thing being mentored and listening, thinking counter trend, and develop your own opinion. I'm wrong all the time, but develop your own opinion. But when it ended, it was the best thing that happened to me. And being around, it was, when I say the best thing, because I went from making a lot of money every month in my account to it stopped. It stopped. It slowed down. So it was then the same breakouts were not working. And that's when you realize, my dad would tell me, and so that's when I really started a trading journal, just a spiral notebook, and just write down. And because I'm a visual, so when I see, just it's not working, but you're still hard headed. So then I didn't. I was spinning my wheels, and still had clients. That was nice, but spinning my wheels as far as trading. So, but you know, things ended up happening. 9/11 came about, and that was a whole different. Market was closed for, I believe, 5, 6 days. So you're sitting there watching.
Elementary or something.
It horrific. But when it opened, there were security stocks. There was, you almost felt bad like capitalizing on stuff, something like that. But it wasn't like .com. It wasn't, but it got me back into the flow. And then then I started prodding away, throughout. And then financial crisis came, and that's when things really happened. And I it got my dad was explaining to me, hey, this is bad. He goes, ultimately, I didn't know about printing of money. He says, ultimately, they have to start printing money because the system's going to collapse. And I said, you're serious? And he goes, yeah. So he has an old time school, hold gold. And that's kind of a lot of my mentality with certain things. So it's just interesting how, it all happened. The financial crisis, when I wasn't making any money trading. And I think looking back, I see all these financial stocks dropping. We're in Las Vegas, and I remember Las Vegas sands. I remember the moves down were so fast. Every afternoon, one or two, they would just keep rolling over. And finally, you'd have some bounces, bear market bounces, but I was like, you just weren't sure, until you see, you're not used to seeing that. And that's my point. And, you have to learn how to change whatever it is you do, trading, life. So that's the thing, that changed me seeing what I saw.
Yep.
And I don't think, um, people truly probably don't realize how close, and they could laugh on the brink, of money market. People don't know that's a mutual fund, and it trades at $1. And so if it breaks NAV, which it has through all my research and being around my dad, for all the years, so it's happened. The government would come in and support that. The people think money markets it's a mutual fund.
Yeah.
So with that being said, so then I realized, I was back to swing trading, long, and because I wasn't a big shorter then, but so I was primarily a long, momentum. I love trading momentum. Momentum sectors started happening. It was great. I mean, it was fantastic.
What's wild is like you started off with success, and then it sounds like you had a little dry spell.
I had a big dry spell.
A big dry spell.
I never lost money in a year. I lost money in 1 year, my whole trading career. And however, but
What year was that?
it was right after .com ended. And I think
that makes sense because you're.
I think I lost. I was down, 18 or 19 grand for the year because that style wasn't working. But here again, my dad was saying, "You're not figuring this out.
Yeah,
you're not. It's changed. I wasn't changing, and that's the thing. I wasn't changing.
Look,
So it's
what do you mean? Like, so are you saying like every time the market shifts, you're completely changing, or do you mean you just need to pump the brakes on that strategy for yourself? Like,
I was really at my end of being a financial advisor. I just didn't enjoy it. It wasn't my passion dealing because I couldn't trade for people. It wasn't for me. I was so blessed, believe it or not. And had some great clients and really blessed, but it wasn't my passion. I wanted to go trade on my own. I wanted to, go out in the trading world. Twitter had started. I started following some of the big traders, and I was like, wow, not to be on Twitter. I just wanted to have my own journey. That's really what I wanted. And as much confidence as I had during .com, it starts waning. What's wrong, and that's a big thing. So I wanted to prove to myself that I could get out of this industry of being a financial advisor and then going and trading and learning different styles. And I will tell you, when I did it, I knew a lot about the market, bigger picture stuff, different books, different things I've read, different experiences that have happened, and well coached with my dad. Yeah, anybody who knows me knows, I talk about him. He's everything. So it's you change in so many ways. I mean, that's the thing, Alex. You change.
What would you say is like the key pillars that your dad taught you that helped you become who you are today as like this type of trader who's been able to survive for 30 years, which is very hard to come by?
Yeah, well, you know what? It seems like when I started my advising career, there was always self-doubt. Like, from him, you can make a living. And then when .com, here again, pound my chest. And he'd tell me, he stopped me from blowing up an account. That was really him as a mentor. And, it was up to me to adjust my own trading. So there's a takeaways from the self-doubt to, it became on me. Then when I finally left and got out of it, I was doubting myself. I didn't doubt myself when I first got into the industry, but I was doubting myself. Like, can I do this? I made sure I had everything. My house was paid for, and I would advise that. Cars were paid for. I didn't have any bills. I didn't owe anybody.
Yep.
And but still, it's scary. This is so. I was going to learn how to day trade, and I was going to still have an account to swing trade.
Yep.
So, I left, and that's how I started with self-doubt, and it was and boy, it's been a learning experience. It's been great. I've learned so much more. I had the foundation, and my point is, there's so many people out there who give their knowledge, help out, truly want to help. I mean, and I admire anybody. Like, if I listen to somebody, I will help anybody. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. If they have the passion, that's the thing. You either have the passion or you don't. And I had the passion. I've always had it. But I was scared to go really full throttle. I believe you talked about getting out of corporate America.
Yeah, it sucked.
It's a crutch. You have a job, and people that are trading on the side, they love it. It's a lot to think about.
Mhm.
It's a lot because you want to get your own health insurance. Just stuff that I had to do. I mean, I was blessed to save money, and pay for things, but it was scary. It was scary.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. The whole idea of you're paying things off, make sure you had no bills to be paid, you had no debt,
Right.
so to speak, which is really smart because like I myself made sure. I mean, I quit my job 3 times, because
Yeah.
I had to because I was failed each time, and so I had money saved up. That's the only way I could do that,
Right.
right? So that way everything was paid for. But even with that, it's still hard. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do,
Very hard.
right? I mean, how can you explain how hard it is? And maybe it wasn't hard for you.
Oh, it was hard.
Okay. What I mean by hard for you is to take losses. Because a lot of people, how we're all raised, like, winners, you win and it's, first place is everything. And I don't know about you, but like, that's what took me so long, like learning how to get comfortable with losses. Like, was that hard for you at all?
No. And I'll tell you the reason why.
What? No.
No, it wasn't. And because I go back to, once again, my dad.
Hmm.
And one of the first lessons is, you know what? If you're going to stay in the game, he goes, you got to learn how to love a loss. And I don't know about love. I mean, someone told me, love's strong. How about just like a loss? I said, okay, we'll rephrase it. Like a loss. And I like them a lot. And I say that, proudly because I'm very, no matter what system someone has,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. But you have to stick to. You always hear that. It holds true. Stick to the system. So I was always good at taking a loss. Here again, writing notes in my journal. Hey, like, why you took that loss too quick, and you just see things develop. Maybe they, if you had a swing trade, they just take you out early in the morning. But I'd adhere to it, not let it, bounce up. So you make adjustments. But I've always been good. That is probably one of my strongest points. And I don't care about a company. It's not this. I go back to fundamentals. It's just a moving dot to me. Everything is a moving dot, and knowing the psychological side. So I'm very. That's my best quality is being able to take a loss.
Can you explain why it's so important, like being able to take these losses and how you must like them? Like,
Well, I am a emotional person. Like, I could talk about my dad and break down and cry.
yeah,
So I'm a very emotional, um, you know, there's something that touches me.
Yeah.
I'm not scared to cry. I'm not. But when it comes to trading, I'm very savant like as far as pushing a button. I don't let, we all keep things inside. And listen, maybe 90 years old inside, but I don't let it affect me. Yes, I can be in a bad mood, but I don't, once I'm around my wife or some friends, I'm good. Like, I'm good. The greatest thing, just, you need to live for the next day, the game. You need to, that's why loving a loss is, or liking it,
yeah,
is the most important thing. And listen, it's, people have way bigger losses. I was scarred by some, big losses. And I remember how fun .com was. And I remember it, and I remember certain names, but my biggest losses, those I remember. I remember how I felt emotionally. And I remember that, so that's those, for those times, you're like, they scar you, but it's a good thing. Like, don't ever think something's bigger. I don't get cocky about something like this can't go. This is, you're long or short or whatever. I respect the action and I let it tell me what it's telling me.
Look, Russ, before we start to wrap this up, I do want to ask you a couple more things. What was the hardest moment for you during your trading journey?
The hardest moment was I was on my own, and I was trying to do too much, swing like I used to, day trade, trying to figure that out. And I think the hardest part was really, the self-doubt. And then once I concentrated on really one thing, and I was humbled by how much I didn't know when it came to trading. How, you're on Twitter, and, I've met so many wonderful people on Twitter.
Yeah, me too.
I can't stand it, but
Right, yeah,
that's how I've
same.
met my
Yeah.
relationships, and this, I'll never say a bad thing about it. But you're just humbled, and everything needs, and how much I didn't know, and how much I had to adapt, and I had to change, and it changes your personality. And I became more obsessive with it, and to a fault. I'm still very obsessed with it, but I find as I've gotten older, I'm getting older, and I'm just getting, sometimes there's burnout.
Yeah.
Sometimes, what's been the big change personally for me is my focus. I used to be lightning sharp at 32, 28. I remember, I'm still fast, but I stick to fewer things just because I can tell a difference in my body.
Yep.
And, but I guess it's still the love of my life.
Yep.
How much I love it.
And I'm very curious though too, because I know a lot of people are probably gonna be thinking, how do you? I guess what I'm trying to say here is, how did you get over that self-doubt?
Um, Work hard. And when I say work hard, um, I'm still doing the same thing. I'm up at 5 in the morning. I get pre-market. You go through the steps, get around smarter people. Everybody's smarter than me. I just have learned to stay in the game, and that's the key. And that it's you have to stay in the game. I'll never, and God bless, I will never let anything take take me out of this unless I'm not around because um, that's just the way it is, and I'm very protective, and that's what's changed from a young 20 something to a late 50 guy.
Yep.
That's what's changed with me, and I won't, there's just things I won't do because it's been a long. I've kept myself, out of the dry ship shorts, those type of things.
Yep.
And learn how to go long and just wait. But I've learned even in COVID how to adapt to things, and I don't pick tops, I don't pick bottoms. I trade range. I trade. That's me. But it's been a great journey, and it's still ongoing because I always say there's so many great traders. You come across them all the time.
Yep. Well, I mean, we both came across one, and we're going to talk to later.
Yeah. I mean, and I just kind of look at it like, wow, I still want to be, my ego wants, I want to be the best I can be. I can't get into
right.
P&L, but the best I can be. And I think I've been the best second string quarterback that's played in this league for 30 plus years. I mean, so that's the things. You love it, and you can't teach the passion. Those that keep coming back, flip accounts. I mean, I feel for them. That someone can reach out to me, doesn't know me. I'm the like I will listen, and it's just I want everybody to make a lot of money. I really probably means more to me. When I see someone that's had so much success. I mean, I'm the first guy to applaud them.
Well, look, I know people are going to want to reach out to you and learn more about you. So, where can they find out more about you?
You know what? I'm on Twitter. It's I think it's Russell Valenti on Twitter at Russell Valenti.
Great. And then we'll provide links below in the description. So if you want to check out Russ, definitely check him out. He's a great trader. I've been able to meet you, fortunately, which is amazing, through our mutual friend, Tyson. So again, hey, look, man.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me.